Hello, bonjour, and welcome to the first Brazilian Week CCBC Online Festival, a digital event organized by the Chamber of Commerce Brasil-Canada in partnership with the Brazilian Embassy in Ottawa and the Brazilian Consulates in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and sponsored by Air Canada. My name is Paulo de Castro Reis, and I'm the Executive Director of CCBC. The festival presents more than 20 webinars covering three main content areas, like business opportunities, innovation, and Brazilian culture. Besides, the website of the Brazilian Week Festival offers free access to more than 200 cultural contents. I'd like now to call Rogerio Rabelo, Holding Company Director and Investor at Dalben, and the coordinator of the Innovation in Health Committee of CCBC, Rogerio Rabelo. Welcome, Rogerio. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here again with you and all the group that is going to speak in this wonderful webinar. And good afternoon to everybody in Canada. Bonjour à tous in Canada as well. And we're gonna today discuss very interesting things and the partnerships that we're starting to develop, and several companies have already developed innovation in health between Brazil and Canada. CCBC, the Brazilian Chamber of Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce, is very involved in promoting bilateral partnerships between Brazilian and Canadian companies, institutions, and universities. And I'm also a coordinator, as Paulo said, of the Commission for Innovation in Health. And the companies that are members of CCBC that work in the healthcare sector also participate, or several of them participate in this commission. And the commission promotes along the year several opportunities of interactions, business development here in Canada, partnerships, interactions, participation in fairs, publications. Last year, there were several seminars and publications approaching medicinal cannabis, gene therapy, and this year we also have developed some events on telemedicine, a very, very hot topic now here in Brazil and well developed in Canada as well. And today we're going to be together here to discuss, of course, healthcare is very important in Brazil and Canada. Both countries have universal health system and private health system as well. The private health system is more developed here in Brazil. In Canada, is a small part of the healthcare. And at the same time, along the years, Canada and Brazil have developed several partnerships at the university level, at private company level, in healthcare in different areas. And one of the objectives here today is to focus, and the focus of this panel is to discuss some of the cooperation initiatives going on among companies and institutions that the presenters are going to be talking about, as well the vision of the Canadian Consulate in this area. So we're going to have very interesting presentations with three speakers, and after that, in the second part of the webinar, we're going to be open to questions, and we hope we're going to have a very interesting second part of discussions to both discuss the experience of these companies and institutions that are now cooperating in Canada, as well new opportunities both here in Brazil and in Canada for companies, institutions that want to work together in this very, very important sector. And now with the COVID pandemic, we are more and more talking about that. And there are several things that have to address, both in things that have been already developed and things that need to be developed. So to make my speech very short, I'm gonna start presenting these speakers. The first speaker is gonna be Dr. Álvaro Avezum. He is the Director of International Research of the International Research Center of the Hospital Oswaldo Cruz, a big hospital, philanthropic hospital in São Paulo. And after Dr. Álvaro Avezum, we're going to hear Izabela Duarte, that is the Trade Commissioner at the Canada Consulate at Recife to bring the perspective of the consulate as well. And then we're going to have Rubens Mendrone. He's the founder and chief operating officer at Termohealth Projeto Linda in Brazil. It's a very nice story to tell us as well. After the 3 brief presentations, we're going to go for a panel discussion, and we're going to be addressing questions. Feel free to send us questions through the chat, and we're going to try to address most of them if possible, or all of them. Okay, so we can start now. Invite Dr. Álvaro Avezum to make his speech and presentation. Thank you, Álvaro.
Thank you, Mr. Rogerio Rabelo. So thank you very much for the invitation for the CCBC, for the Brazilian Week, Brazilian Cooperation and Innovation in Health. And I should express that it is indeed a privilege, because I lived in Canada from 93 to 95. So this is my second home, Canada. I lived in Hamilton. So it's a great pleasure to share some ideas, and I'm going to present a broad picture of research and especially population health potential for innovation. So next slide, please. I cannot move from here. Can I have the second slide, please? Yeah, so the perspective that I'm going to present is from our hospital, and especially our International Research Center at the Oswaldo Cruz German hospital. And we do have a huge nationwide network for clinical research and observational research in Brazil. Next. So just to let you know that we already have a very strong connection with Canada. So since 1993, Brazil and Canada, we collaborate in clinical and relevant research through McMaster University at the Population Health Research Institute. So in Oswaldo Cruz General Hospital, we have a satellite center of PHRI from Canada to Brazil. So this is a very fruitful collaboration and cooperation that I'm going to give some example, and the next step that we should maybe try to solve for the next years in Brazil in innovation and health. Next slide, please. So the whole picture about cardiovascular disease and cancer comes from the epidemiological transition, and we are not used to do what we are doing today because we are having less physical activity, and our diet pattern is not a good one for sure, and a lot of stress and depression. By being submitted to those negative forces, we are going to develop some changes in our metabolism that goes to obesity, dyslipidemia, hypertension, and diabetes. And finally, we have cardiovascular disease and cancer. This model is an international model that can explain why we get sick worldwide. Next. So Brazil is a very peculiar country and very heterogeneous. If you ask me about the cardiovascular disease mortality and myocardial infarction mortality, in the left-hand side panel, we have the cardiovascular disease mortality in Brazil. The blue areas means that we are facing increase in the mortality. In the yellow areas, we are facing decrease. On the right-hand panel, we have the myocardial infarction mortality. A lot of blue areas, indicating that we are still facing increase in myocardial infarction death in Brazil, death rate in Brazil. Next slide. So the idea to propose excellent question, and by proposing excellent question, we should answer reliably and especially try to innovate by answering those questions if we reassure population benefit. So to me, and not only to me, if you discuss innovation, we should reassure that the population can get better health based on clinical endpoints or quality of life, or even if you could save some money. So from risk factor to death, we have several aspects of cardiovascular disease development that we could investigate. And we did that over the last 25 years. Next slide. Over the last 25 years, in collaboration with Canada, we developed about 60 randomized clinical trials focusing on those areas that are related to death and also to impact on quality of life of the population. Next slide. So let's start by myocardial infarction. We do have 9 risk factors, internationally speaking, that could explain 90% of the risk of MI. So by preventing and treating those risk factors, we could avoid 90% of MI in the world. Next slide. But when you see in Brazil, one more, next. When you see Brazil is a little bit different than the rest of the world. If you ask me, the most important, the leading risk factor in Brazil is dyslipidemia. So if you wanted to do any innovation to provide cardiovascular health in Brazil, you should start by normalizing or equalizing the lipid profile in Brazil. The second most important risk factor in Brazil is abdominal obesity. And the third, fourth, and fifth, so they come together, is smoking, hypertension, and stress. And this is pre-pandemics. So stress has a higher impact in Brazil in comparison to different countries in the world. Next one. The picture in stroke is similar. I'm sorry for the size of the letter, but we identified 10 risk factors independently associated with stroke. So stroke is the second cause of death and the first cause of disability in Brazil. Again, innovation in health, we should try to provide answers to implement science for preventing MI and stroke in Brazil. All the other diseases, they're important, but the number 1 and number 2 cause of death are related to MI and stroke. Next one. Next one, yep. One more, yeah, thanks. So we do have data, but we faced with a different problem that the science should dedicate substantial time to answer that question. We are excellent to generate science, to generate data, but the implementation is a nightmare. This is a universal phenomenon, it's not only in Brazil, and this is international. So we have a prospective cohort study along with Canada, with PHRI, and we are able to show that around 10% of the hypertensive patients in the world, they are well treated. So the question is not a new antihypertensive medication. We don't need a new trial. We just needed to have practical ideas how to implement science. So only 10% of the hypertensive patients in the world, they have blood pressure under control. Next. So back to Brazil and South America. So we are sad to say that post-MI and post-stroke patients in Brazil, 20% of the post-MI, they don't get any single medication. And post-stroke in Brazil, 30% of them, they don't get any single medication, 0. So this is the real science, and innovation should be clever enough to propose the solution, or at least potential solution, how to overcome this universal, but particularly this Brazilian problem of not getting evidence in practice. Next. And the issue about economy is a quite weird one, because in green, we have high income country, and in yellow, low income country. So the second column, you see non-major cardiovascular disease. Because of the cardiovascular risk is higher in high-income countries, it is expected that mortality is higher in those countries, but that's the opposite. Despite of having higher cardiovascular risk, the mortality rate is higher in low-income countries. The suggestion from that information is a kind of a fracture of health system. So another important element, ingredient, to be discussed and to be proposed as a very important line of research is health system. If you don't take into account the health system, we don't have the complete idea of health in any country. but specifically in Brazil, that's at the part of our presentation. Next. So, cause of cardiovascular disease. Last year, we published it, of course, along with PHRI, the pure prospective cohort study, and we are able to identify in the world the main cause of events. So if the question is, what is the most important risk factors to be tackled to reduce cardiovascular disease events? Hypertension is the number one for the world. The second one is cholesterol. The third one, pollution. Yeah, we need to dedicate things, research in the environment. The first one, tobacco. I'm not going to read all of them, but you have the big four related to cardiovascular disease. But let's see mortality. If the question is, I need to know the data in mortality in order to propose a strategy to reduce mortality in the world. Next one. If you see the major four risk factors related to mortality in the world are low education. Okay. So we are discussing health, but low education is the most important risk factors to be maybe solved, not solved, but at least give some potential solution to reduce death in the world. The second one is tobacco. The third one is muscle first, and the fourth one is diet. So innovation should be focused on those risk factors. Otherwise, we cannot propose any amelioration, any improvement in health for anyone in the planet. Next. So the second, just maybe 2-3 minutes about another, in our research center, we have a unit that we call Health Technology Assessment Unit. So this unit has 2 leading projects. We wrote guidelines for the government. So we review all the evidence, we do the critical appraisal of evidence, and you provide this evidence to our government. So it's important to, this unity is a kind of interface between education, innovation, and research in our institution. And the main, I would say, partner in those projects is the Brazilian Ministry of Health. Next. The areas related to this department is to do systematic review or scoping review, ultra rapid review, health monitoring of the horizon. So we call horizon monitoring assessment. We do that in this department. Next. Recently, if you see the output from this department along with the government, about 91 guidelines proposed and prepared to the government over the last 5 years, and in 90 reports to how to monitor the technological horizon to discuss if the incorporation implementation is worth or not. So it's a key department in our research department. Next. So recently, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Minister of Health required a lot of data. So our department reviewed 24 rapid systematic review to provide to the government. Next. And also recently, we have a coalition COVID-19 Brazil. It's a network that comprises 8 different institutions. And we already completed 3 trials published in 3 major journals, and we have 7 more trials underway to solve questions related to COVID-19 treatment, not only for Brazil, but for the world. So it is important to say that our work is based on network and coalition. Next, almost finishing. So the next item that I believe that's very important for innovation is the primary care. The primary care, because Brazil, we have a universal health coverage, and primary care is responsible for almost 7% of the population. So the Road Heart Federation, sorry, they proposed a roadmap, and we tried to implement in Brazil by reducing tobacco, treating hypertension and treating secondary prevention. Next, when you see Brazil, we have we call the family health strategy. Almost 9% of the country has the family health strategy. So if you want to do innovation in health, we should take into account the family health strategy. So primary care. Next, this is a very busy slide, but I'd like just to call your attention to see that the presence of the family health strategy, just the presence in comparison to areas that we don't have such program, we are able to demonstrate reduction in cardiovascular mortality and cerebrovascular mortality. So this is key for any innovation, the primary care setting. Next. This is my last slide. I'm not going to read, but we do have some key recommendations based on primary prevention and cardiovascular prevention and how to link to health promotion through innovation. So we do have a lot of information. We don't need more data. We just need to implement. And the way of implementing that knowledge is key and open for research and open for innovation. Thank you very much for the opportunity and for your time.
Thank you, Álvaro. Very interesting presentation. Hope we're going to have very interesting discussions. You raise very, very important points. So without further delay, I'm going to invite now Izabela Duarte, the Trade Commissioner of the Brazilian Consulate at Recife, to talk to us about the initiatives and the way the Canadian Consulate acts in this area. Thank you, Izabela.
Thank you, Dr. Rogerio, and a great presentation, Dr. Álvaro. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and thank you, Paulo, for inviting us to participate. My name is Izabela, and I'm the Trade Commissioner responsible for the life science sector in Brazil. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about our Brazilian and Canada cooperation, mainly in innovation and health. As you probably know, international partnership is an essential catalyst for science and technological innovation, be it in health or in other sectors. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more on the life science, but this is very much applied to all of the sectors that the Consulate covers. So these collaborations often accelerate the pace of discovery and result in improved commercialization. Andressa, can you the next slide? Okay. There are 3 different collaborative opportunities that the government of Canada has built in terms of science and technology relationships and partnerships with Brazil's emerging innovation networks. These are mainly frameworks that serve and help us as trade commissioners these are guidelines for Canadians to effectively partner and work with the partner country, in this case, Brazil, to increase international science and technology capacity. We have these agreements with different countries, but Brazil life science and healthcare in science and technology is a priority for the government of Canada. And in some cases, some financial support has been identified and dedicated for this enhancement of these international relationships, such as the CIIP. And we'll discuss a little bit more in the next start. So these are the 3 main pillars that we work here in Brazil, the basis of our relationship in STI. Canada has a long history of cooperation with Brazil and other international counterparts and organizations. Our engagement takes many different forms, ranging from informal information exchange to multilateral harmonization initiatives and the big level sort of ministerial level. And basically these frameworks like the MOU in health and STI, they help us to facilitate research and development, and will extend as well as strengthen and conduct some of the cooperative initiatives in the areas of common interest. In our case, we have biotech, pharma, many different areas. And the end result of all this cooperation is always to seek not only further engagement, but economic and social benefit. One example that I'd like to mention here of these engagements is that of the Medical Device Single Audit Program, known as MDSAP or MDASP, as other people call it. And basically, it's between Health Canada and Anvisa and other partners from different other countries. And the program was designed and developed so that a single audit performed by an authorized auditing organization meets the quality management system required of multiple regulatory agencies. So basically, if you have a medical device, you don't have to wait until Anvisa goes to Canada to perform the necessary audits and regulatory stuff that they do. And basically, this is something that requires a lot of engagement from our part, from Brazil's part. And this is one of the things we do. And basically, innovation is at the core of our work. And I just want to mention that 2020 actually marks the 10th anniversary of the Framework Agreement for Cooperation in Science, Technology, and Innovation between Canada and Brazil. And for us, this is very important because it's an important two-way collaboration that involves industrial research cooperation, obviously, between our two countries, under what I mentioned before, the CIIP, which is the Canada International Innovation Program, which I'm going to talk a little bit more. And next, please. Next slide, please. I'm not going to read that in full, but the CIIP program, it forces and supports bilateral collaborative industrial research and development of projects with high potential of commercialization between Canada and Brazil. So this is the key part. For this to happen, for this partnership to happen, it has to be a huge potential, or has to be a strong case of commercialization. When a project is submitted, it is analyzed by both parties, Brazil and Canada. And this is what it's not going to just be in a paper, you know, it's going to be put in a drawer. There has to be clear objectives, and the end result is that it's a commercial project. And every year, well, every year until the COVID-19, we have a joint call for proposals, and it's launched between the NRC and its Brazilian partner, which is, we had the last two projects that I was personally involved, was the FAPESP, which is the São Paulo State Funding Agency. And once the projects are selected, and there are synergies between the partners and in Canada and Brazil, we offer them different services and, you know, in different areas. But there are areas such as forestry, ocean science, etc., but I am only involved with the ones related to the life science sector. And basically, as a Trade Commissioners, we organize these R&D partnering mission on a regular basis, and we sort of identify the high potential sectors with the objective of identifying the co-innovation partner in Canada and Brazil. So we will select companies and we'll invite them to participate in Canada. And once we know who is going to be participating in the ones that have been selected in Brazil, we try to find some companies that could be suitable for that you know, for the project. And most recently, we had two missions, the 2019 around the nanotech trade show. We had 11 companies participating from Canada, and it was a very interesting mission because nanotech is a very hot topic and is very much in the core of science right now. And it can be involved in different subsectors of life science. It could be cosmetics, it could be biotech, it could be pharma, it could be, you know, it could be things related to the chemical industry. So it was a very broad spectrum, and therefore it was very challenging. But we, as I said, we offer some services, but some people ask me sometimes, oh, you know, what is the collaboration like? And basically we have different targets. It could be validation of a Canadian technology to the Brazilian market, or could be adaptation of a particular technology. For example, I don't know, like Canadian technology to meet Brazilian technical requirements. Could be joint development of new products or services by combining both Canadian and Brazilian technology. It could have many facets. It could have different phases. But basically, the main objective is to is a co-development collaboration. We very much believe that the way forward in the life science sector, and maybe other sectors as well, is that of collaborations, partnership. Although Brazil has a very, very big market, it's a market difficult to start, and we think that collaboration is the easiest way for a Canadian company to have its footprint in Brazil. One of the highlights of the mission is that we offer service of matchmaking. And this is where the magic actually happens, is when companies meet each other and talk. Is a little bit like date speeding, but we have had very good results. Next, please. So this is some of the projects that we had in starting with the 2016 Biotech trade mission, which we use Bio-Latin America as the anchor event. We had 7 companies from Canada. We have at least 80 meetings of matchmaking. It was a very busy week for us here in São Paulo. And in the end, we had 2 success stories to tell you. One was between DG Labs and Custom Biologics. And this partnership will enable them to develop fast, cost-effective tests for hepatitis C using blood samples. I had the opportunity to visit Custom Biologics in Canada last year. And to give you just a little bit of taste of what it means, this collaboration means in the real world. Before you have a test, in order to have a test, a full result for Hep C, you would have equipment to the size of a big room. And with this collaboration between DG Lab and Custom Biologic, I actually saw their kit. It's the size of one of these, you know, it's a little device like this. So what it means for us is, like, for example, the indigenous population in the Amazon or remote areas in Brazil, or in Canada, for that matter, they could have very quickly the result of hepatitis C in Brazil, which used to be one of the Ministry of Health in Brazil most important priorities, was to detect and fight the advancement of hepatitis C in Brazil. So, you know, it's really, really, really sophisticated stuff, and it's all done, you know, after these people met at Bio-Latin America. So it's amazing. Another collaboration we had was between Genotyping and Orgen of Ontario. I actually visited them as well, and the collaboration is going very well. And the objective of this particular project and this co-development was to identify some pathogens in the blood. I don't know for sure what the details of it. I can give you if you ask me. I'm gonna look into it, but I don't know by heart. And I would like to mention 2 of those that we had in the Nano Trade Show. One was between Functional Micron. We met via LinkedIn, which is, you know, the sign up, which was really, it's amazing the things we can do using technology. So this is another thing that we do. We find the companies, we look at what they're doing on social media. And Pure Leaf, which is a startup on the cannabis subsector. And basically, they're going to develop a project. Well, they were going to develop, I don't know what's the status right now, given the COVID-19, but a drug delivery platform for topical administration of cannabinoids in treatment of localized pain. You know, this is another hot topic in Brazil. I mean, I think we're making strides in regards to regulatory affairs. And I am very confident that there are lots of opportunities for Canadian companies in this sector, in this subsector. I think cannabis is something that is going to evolve in Brazil. And I think we have a lot of potential there. And another one is, the last one is between Cyclica of Toronto and Nugebi, which is a subsidiary of Hebron Pharma. And is a really nice project because this one, they're gonna try and develop a new trying to find a new pharmaceutical to fight leishmaniasis, I think it's called. I don't know for sure if that's the word in English, but it's a disease that is very difficult to treat, even though science has advanced a lot. So, and this is it. We have a long list of collaborations in different shapes and sizes and forms. Just recently, it was on the news, I think about a week ago, about a collaboration between the University of Ontario, University of Toronto, and USP regarding the use of acai berry to potentially treat inflammation related to COVID-19. So there are lots of things happening, and Brazil and Canada have a lot in common, and we have good scientists. We have very similar backgrounds, and in terms of science, I think we have a lot to gain from one another. But the key word, I think, with regards to opportunities in Brazil in the life science sector is that of partnerships. I think that's where you, as a Canadian company, you would progress faster and quicker if you had a Brazilian partner here. And last but not least, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity. And that's it from me. And now I'm looking forward to questions towards the end of in the next step. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Izabela. Very interesting presentation and inspiring. So a lot of opportunities there. Álvaro spoke about us on partnerships on research with Canada. You gave a framework and overall view of opportunities that for sure we're going to discuss later on. And now I want to invite a Brazilian entrepreneur that is going to talk to us of a real partnership that he just started with Canada. It's Rubens Mendrone, de Termohealth, o Projeto Linda. Por favor, Rubens. Please, Rubens, and we're looking forward to hear your presentation as well. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here, and I will try to share my experience. That was the reason I was invited to share my experience and the lessons that I have learned individually while building a startup from Brazil and moving this startup to Canada. And so I'm going to share my screen here and my project called Linda. Linda, I'm not here to talk about my project, but just to let you know that Linda it's a mobile app. It's a clinical decision tool that was designed to help doctors in the journey of breast cancer early detection. So Linda is basically an app, and when we started Linda, like 2017, it's almost 4 years that we started with this project. We decided to build Linda to be global, you know, and that's why Linda was built under the Brazilian and the Canadian health regulations. This was the major decision that we took to start this project, to start the path to be a global startup. And Canada was our first step towards internationalization. And I'm really happy to say that in the first hand that yesterday we received the certification of the incorporation of Linda in Montreal in Canada. So we are really excited with that, and we are kind of nervous, of course, but we are confident that we are taking a huge step, but this is necessary because as Isabel told us, Canada and Brazil has a lot to share and a lot of things in common. And I believe that this partnership with the trade commissioner, with the CBC, it's the way that all that we need to be global, you know. So talking about specifically of my experience and our experience, actually, because I'm not alone here. When we're talking about Brazil, we're talking about a 2 million people market, you know. So of course we are huge, and we have to multiply every feature, every product, every service by 200 million person. So of course we have a lot of opportunity because we are not a developed country, we are a developing country. So we still have a lot of problems to solve, a lot of things to do, and we have a lot of opportunity. And Linda is trying to fit in one of these opportunities that is the breast cancer fight that we have here and in many other countries like Canada. The second point here that I want to highlight is the hybrid healthcare system that we have here. So we have a universal public health system and we have a private health system. And so when you build a solution here, or when you bring a solution from outside to sell this solution down here in Brazil, you need to keep that in mind, that you have the more than 70% of the market is served by the public health system. So you need to keep that in mind, and we have a lot to share with Canada while serving with the public health systems. And diversity. I believe that Brazil is one of the most diversity countries in the planet, and maybe this is the most evident link that we have with Canadian people. So we speak a lot of language. We have, for instance, we have the biggest Japanese community outside Japan. We have the biggest Italian community outside Italy. So we are a country with many other people from the whole world. So we are just like Canada, you know. And on the other hand, we have the Canadian market, and which is a developed country with major regulation, with major structure and laws, and that help us a lot, especially because Anvisa, that is the health regulation here in Brazil, use the Health Canada as a reference. And this is important for us to understand how the Canadian market works and how they regulate medical devices and pharmacs and everything else. So this is important. Canada has, it's a major country, you know. Well, when you start to work with Canada, we learned about the funding program. So we learned about the CIIP, we learned about the Biotech. So we have many incentive programs for hiring people, for doing research, for validations and many others. So if you are thinking about going global, you need to know that you have many other programs like you have here in Brazil. So if you're in Canada and trying to move your business to Brazil, you can count on us to funding your programs also. We have some public programs also. So you can benefit from both sides. That's where the magic happens, you know. And of course, we know that Brazil is a 200 million people, but Canada is a global market. You know, Canada has many trade agreements to help us expanding globally. So it's easier for us going from Brazil to Canada and from Canada conquer the whole planet. It's easier for us than trying to expand as a Brazilian company. That's why we decided to move from Brazil to Canada. And that's why we believe that Canada and Brazil is a perfect match for us, because we can benefit from both sides and learn with two different countries and regulations, and that help us a lot going global. Well, if I could share in one slide my experience and something that I could share to help you guys, even if you're in Canada and thinking about coming to Brazil, or if you're in Brazil thinking about going to Canada, maybe your journey will be the same as mine, but you need to discover and build your own ecosystem. So we started in January this journey, accepting an invitation from the Trade Commissioner team to see a presentation about investment in Canada. This was in January, and that was the discovery phase. You know, we discovered a new world called Canada, and then we move it into the CCBC. And I need to emphasize here, it was the best investment ever. The work that CCBC is doing with us, it's huge, it's bold. So I want to thank you, every person of the CCBC, for this help, you know. So this is the explore phase, and they helped and they are helping us yet to explore the regulations, to explore the laws, to explore the market, to know people and person and accelerators and universities. So they are helping us a lot, especially because we cannot take an airplane and fly to Canada to know the people, to know places, and to know companies. So they are helping us a lot with that. And then we need to refine. If you're working with healthcare, you need to better understand and refine the regulations. And CCBC is also helping us with Health Canada. And by the end of this journey, of course, we have the closure step. And we decided to work with Montreal International and incorporate the company in Montreal, Quebec. So we talked to Toronto, we talked to Calgary, Waterloo, and we decided to incorporate the Linda in Montreal. So I believe that if you start and you go through your journey, just like me, I believe that you're going to succeed on that, because I believe that this is the best team, the best team that I could put together in a basket to work with us. And of course, you need to discover and build your own vocation. You need to decide what you want down here in Brazil or even in Canada. If you want funding, if you want venture capitals, or if you want research, or if you want hiding, you need to discover and build your own vocation and start doing your job. It's not easy, but with the help of this amazing team, I'm sure that you're going to succeed on that. So that's my experience. That's what I can share with you. And so let's keep in touch. Thank you very much, everyone. And Paulo, Rogerio, with you.
Thank you, Rubens. Very, very interesting presentation. Real world, hands-on approach, just doing it fantastic. I hope your presentation is an inspiration for other Brazilian companies, startups, and the other way around, also for Canadian companies to consider partnerships in Brazil. So we have three very interesting presentations. We have now 10 minutes for questions and answers, and I'm going to start with a question to Daniel Galelli. He's the head of institution partnerships at Hospital Oswaldo Cruz and works together with Dr. Álvaro Avezum. Dr. Álvaro, in this connected world of teleconference, he had just to leave because he's attending another and giving another presentation at 6 p.m., just starting another international conference online. That's our new world. We never stop. So I'd like to make this question directly to Daniel. And to me, it was very, very interesting that you are handling the partnerships between Oswaldo Cruz and all clinical trials in Canada. How does it work there for you to make so many partnerships and so many clinical trials and other projects going on between Brazil and Canada.
Hi, everyone. I think that Dr. Álvaro is still with us. Álvaro, do you want to make this? Álvaro? Oh, no, I think it's out. Okay, we have a special team there in the hospital, and with this team, we have some team dedicated to the researchers and dedicated to new projects. So it's for us is a good receive new projects. So with that, we have a team dedicated for researchers and for partnerships too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's very interesting, the amount of the work you guys are doing, and very interesting data from primary care to coronary artery disease, stroke that you shared with us. I'm sure now with the new world of primary care and all the developments we need to do in Brazil, Canada is a wonderful benchmark for us, because it's very well developed in primary care and integration of the system. So hopefully a lot of those initiatives will come real, as Álvaro said, in our very heterogeneous country. So I'll move on with another question now to Izabela. It was fantastic when you see the opportunities. So my question to you, and those are questions that other forums have risen in the past, is, with all this collaboration, possible collaboration between the Canadian innovation funds and Brazilian research support agencies, like you said, with FAPESP, and the way you mentioned that you find the companies from the LinkedIn to the events that you guys put together, how aware are the companies in Brazil, private companies, research institutions, and startup as well, of those possibilities? I know CCBC does a wonderful job to make a lot of noise about it, a lot of events. The Consulate and the Embassy of Canada are fantastic on that as well. But sometimes when I talk to companies, to incubators, it does not seem to be, the news are spread, but people basically, I don't believe they believe it. So if you can enlighten us a little bit more on that, would be great. How to take this opportunity further.
There are different aspects to answer your question, in the sense that when we have a joint call, there's always a topic, right? So for example, for this the latest one we had is nanotech. So then we look for companies. We use LinkedIn to announce that we're having a call. FAPESP is very efficient. It's a very, very good partner. They have a huge network of contact with all the hubs, the innovation hubs in Brazil. No, the problem being sometimes that, for example, when it's a call with FINEP, it can be Brazil-wide. When it's FAPESP, then we are limited to the amount of partners that we have, because they can only be São Paulo based, right? And the beauty of it is that although the companies don't know about us, we know about them. That's our job. That's how we move things around. We talk to the Reds Bio, for example, which is perhaps, I don't want to be unfair to others, but it's one of the best hubs of innovation in Brazil, and I would say in Latin America. They work very closely with us, and just like you and Dr. Álvaro, Claudio Terra, which is the director of innovation there, he's also studied in Canada. His wife is Canadian. So there are all these links that bring us together. But I think we would like to say that it's our job as trade commissioners to visit companies. And sometimes when we try to book a meeting with a company, like for example, Biotech from Belo Horizonte, why would you want to talk to me? And this is exactly why, because when there comes a call, if it's something more Brazil-wide, we know where the companies are. And then, for example, we had a very active role bringing these companies together. They don't know about us, but we know about them.
Fantastic, and I believe further and a lot of new collaboration will come in the future. So my other point now is for Rubens. He gave a very hands-on approach and very recent approach on how he went through this process and how CCBC helped him. So first I want to invite you to join the Commission for Innovation in Health, as you are part of CCBC now as a company. And if you can consider your experience, as you told me previously, that it always started with the Canadian week, because now we have the Brazilian week with all these events that CCBC put together. And in July, for people that don't know, it's the Canada Day. And there was also a Canadian week done by CCBC. So you're talking about 2 months, and a lot of things happen there. So if you can, and sometimes you think everything is very bureaucratic, difficult to be done. So if you can make it easier for people to believe it, please go ahead, Rubens. Você tá mudo, Rubens.
Oh, I'm sorry. What can I say? It's been a crazy season for us. You're right. It's been like 2 or 3 months since we decided, we took the decision of being incorporated in Canada in the middle of the Canada week, because we could get into the world of Canada and to know people, you know. But of course, when we talk about internationalization going outside Brazil, it looks like it's, oh my God, what's the start point here? But I worked for IBM for almost 20 years. And that, at IBM, I learned that the planet is smaller, flatter, and smarter. So we are a flat planet, you know. Canada is just a few hours from an airplane. And with the right team and with the right consultants like CCBC, like the Trade Commissioner team, Izabela, for instance, helped us a lot on our first steps, because they helped us to understand the healthcare systems in Canada. And this is important for us. So the first step to make this journey more easy, especially if you don't have any kind of experience going outside Brazil, like me as an entrepreneur, this is new for me. You need to choose the right partners and the right people to work with you. That's the way we build the Linda in Canada. No.
Fantastic. Well, we have basically 2 minutes to go. I'll leave this last minute for you guys to leave a final message, 30-second message, each of you. Izabela, you can start with Rubens because he's already here online, and then the same for Danielle.
Okay, my point is, don't be afraid. You know, it's crazy, it's not easy, but it's worth it. No. Just work hard, just work with the right people, the right partners, and put your hands on the fire and just go. That's my experience, practical experience and recent experience. So just go ahead, stop thinking, and that's my point.
I'm gonna be very, very short. Basically, we want to hear from you. If you're a Canadian company and wants to do business in Brazil, we want to hear from you. If you're a Brazilian company that wants to go to Canada, we want to hear from you. Okay, cheerio, thank you very much.
It's the same. Hospital Oswaldo Cruz is here and open to receive you for open innovation and what you need. I leave my email here. Anything you want, just send me an email. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for wonderful presentations and sharing all the information we had here today. And my final comment is, as a coordinator of the Commission for Innovation in Health at CCBC, you can all count on us. Rubens made it very clear that it can be very helpful to look for the support and go to the CCBC, the Brasil-Canada Chamber of Commerce, ou que chamamos de Câmara de Comércio Brasil-Canadá para os brasileiros. And we are there to help you, to share ideas. All of us have experience in our companies. Several of us also lived during studying time or company time in Canada. So it'll be a pleasure to talk to all of you. And please keep online, because now we still have more on the Brazilian week on the cultural side. So thank you very much. Thank you.